Good morning, Mopar family, car lovers. Mopar Ninja here. On my way to my place of employment here this morning. I want to talk to you guys about cold air intakes. Alright? It's a very popular mod that people put on their vehicles. And I want to give you my thoughts on the cold air intake. Alright? First of all, let me put it to you this way. I would not put a cold air intake on a stock vehicle. Alright? I won't be putting a cold air intake on my vehicle. Won't be happening. No. Not gonna do it. Alright? A cold air intake, from the research I've done, and of course, as I tell you guys all the time, I do a lot of research before I do any mods. Alright? It's ridiculous. Unless you have a supercharger, a turbocharger, or maybe like some other modifications to your vehicle, like, you know, you got some headers or something like that, cold air intake is useless. First of all, a lot of these cold air intakes I see these guys put in the cars, they're open. They're open. You know what I'm saying? So you put this cold air intake in your vehicle, and you know, let's look at it this way. Your stock factory airbox is enclosed for a good reason. Okay? It's enclosed. When it's in that enclosure, it's protecting it from the heat that's coming off the engine. Sorry for all the shaking here. These roads in New York City is ridiculous. Yeah, so I mean, it's protecting your the air intake from the heat that's coming off the engine. You have to keep in mind your hood, when you close it, you're somewhat pressurizing the air underneath your hood. You're enclosing it, right? You're pressing it down. It's somewhat pressurized. So you have a cold air intake that's open and exposed. Where's all that hot air that's coming from the engine gonna go? Where you think it's gonna go, huh? Where you think it's gonna go? It's gonna go right into your so-called cold air intake. A lot of something called cold air intakes is hot air intakes. You know what I'm saying? And from what I've seen and heard, a lot of people have gotten problems with those things, putting them on their vehicle. You know what I'm saying? The car's not idling right. You know, they're catching check engine lights. You know, the car's overheating. I don't need those problems. So, I mean, for what? What are you getting? You really think you're getting a big horsepower boost from putting a cold air intake in your vehicle? I don't think so. If you do, it's minimal at best. Probably hardly noticeable. You know, the only thing you're gonna get out of a cold air intake is maybe a different sound, but it doesn't make any sense. Now, I must say, there's one cold air intake that I've seen that looks pretty good, and if I was gonna put a cold air intake, it would be that one. It does the Volant. That makes sense. It comes in an enclosure. It's enclosed, so it's protected from the hot air that's coming from your engine. It's taking air from underneath the vehicle, and there's an opening toward the fender. So that makes a little bit more sense. But to me personally, I don't think you could just slap a cold air intake on there, you know, unless you have a mod. But if you are going to put a cold air intake on there, it would only make sense to get one that's enclosed. So before you go rush and go, you know, get a cold air intake to look cool or whatever your reason is for getting a cold air intake, Think it over. Think twice about that. That stuff is just another headache to me. That seems like problems. That's a breeding ground for problems. And problems cost money. Okay? So, I'm not going to be putting a cold air intake on my vehicle. I refuse to do that. That's ridiculous. Excuse me, a hot air intake. I refuse to do that. Okay? You know, when my, like for example, like the rip kit that I want to get for my vehicle, right? The rip kit comes with a cold air intake on it, right? But that cold air intake that's going through that, that's hooked up to that supercharger, that air that it takes in has to go through an intercooler, okay, to cool the air off. It's just not taking air straight out from under the engine bay and then shoving it into your vehicle. No, it has to go through the intercooler first to cool it off. That makes sense. But you guys that just want to take a freaking cold air intake and slap it on your vehicle and think, oh, it's going to be cool, it's going to be great. Nah, you're in for a world of hurt with that one. And you're in for a lot of problems with that one. This Ninja right here, nah, I will not be putting a cold air intake on my vehicle. To me, the risk of something going wrong is too high. It's not worth it. So, unless you're getting your vehicle turbocharged, supercharged, leave the cold air intake alone. And if you really want to do it, go the way of the Volant cold air intake, because that's enclosed. That looks like a nice setup. You understand what I'm saying? And then you might need to consider getting a tune too. But Volant isn't paying me to say these good things about them, so I'll keep that to a minimum. You know, nothing's for free. You know, I want to get paid. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the cold air intake. This Ninja right here ain't doing that. Mopar, no car.